I've been asked many times why I produce a magazine about mental health. Well, here's the short answer. Hi. I think mental health has always been important to me, whether I realise that's what it was or not. Mental health, mental well-being has always been incredibly important to me. I remember as a child, when I was maybe 12, 13, I went to my school library and read a textbook about psychology. My rationale then was I had three sisters, two of whom were older than me and going through certain stages of adolescence, and I was trying to figure out what was wrong with them. Why was their behaviour so strange, so crazy? Of course, it turns out it was actually more likely puberty than anything else. But I developed this desire to understand how the brain works, or how people work and how people function. So that was always an interest to me. I think that came from largely my own self and needing to understand how I acted and why I acted particular ways. Of course, this was many years ago, and when I was a lad, people didn't really diagnose children with mental health issues. But I knew that there was something quite strange or not quite right. Some weeks I wanted to go to school, some weeks I didn't. And they were extremes. And some days I was just afraid to do certain things consistently. I didn't know what that was about, but I was keen to find out or keen to understand it. I remember as we used to when I was a kid, flick through dictionaries and find strange words and look them up. And one of them was anxiety. And I saw this word and I thought, it was about 7 or 8. I saw this word and I thought, that's me. That's it. And I ran from my bedroom and took it to my mother and said, look, Mum, this is me. And she and my father said, don't be silly. Anxiety is an adult thing. You're a child. You don't get that. And that was the common thinking. And I didn't really think a lot more about it. It was an interest. And then when I was much older, I was diagnosed with a couple of things. And it started to make sense. But that's a little bit about my understanding or passion for mental health issues. What I was doing at the same time was trying to manage those in a positive way. Sometimes medication, sometimes alternative things. I learned about mindfulness. I learned about meditation. I was doing all sorts of things. I changed my diet considerably. I went to a whole food diet largely, reduced my sugar intake, tried to drop my caffeine intake, and the impact has been absolutely significant. So that's a little bit about me. But the magazine, I worked in media for many years, in IT and business. Making a magazine was not on my radar. And then a friend of mine who was a writer and a mental health practitioner came to me and said, hey, you produce these tech magazines. Can you do one about mental health? And I said, no, I'm not interested. And I looked around for other publishers that might help. And unfortunately, nobody was interested. I sat down and I explained this is why mental health is so important to so many people, not just people with mental health issues and not just people with disorders, but it's also important to people who care for those people, but more so ordinary, everyday people. Of course, people with mental health issues are ordinary, everyday people, but other people who deal with stress and trauma and tiredness and losing a job, losing a pet, losing family. These are normal everyday things. They're not crazy. They're not disorders. But by having a greater sense of mental health and resilience, we can manage these things a hell of a lot better. So that was really interesting. But the proposition just wasn't viable for anybody. So I agreed. At first I said, look, I don't know anything about this. I can't. And he said, but what about bipolar disorder? Yeah, I know about that. Anxiety? Well, yeah, since I was a kid. Some of your BPD symptoms, having been in a relationship with a chronic alcoholic and developing a codependent relationship and recovering from that. dude, I think you've got something you can bring to the table. And I thought about it and said, yeah, well, okay, well, maybe when you look at it like that, maybe I do. And so we got to work and put ourselves out there, and we received so many emails and submissions from so many people, individuals living with mental health, people who have recovered from different mental health issues, from family, from friends, from practitioners. And we realized that there was a community out there that wanted to share, and a community that wanted to learn more about things such as mindfulness and nutrition and how to live a more mindful life. And that's what we've set out to do. Now I'm doing this on my own, and I receive these emails and I love them. Some do upset me. Sometimes I read somebody's story and I cry, and I put it down and recover and get on with it. But it is touching to hear these things from people. And I thank everyone who does send those in. And if you've got something you would like to share, please get in touch, and we will do what we can to include it in the magazine or on our blog, and share your story, your advice, your information with other people, and help improve the mental wellness of everyone, or everyone that we can. Starts there. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And thanks for reading Better Mental Health Magazine. Have a great day.